free agency yesterday and made for TV now. NFL, 12 months. Every time you turn around, they got something. The combine's going to get bigger. Got the draft, free agency. It was the national signing day for these guys. And, I'll leave it to Jay Glazer, who I don't even think Jay was supposed to be working, but he still had the biggest story when you realize that Tony Gonzalez is coming back to the Atlanta Falcons. And Jay Glazer from Fox Sports joining us. Where were you? Why weren't you working yesterday?
I was day drinking up in Napa. I was up. This stuff can't get in the way of day drinking. Are you kidding me? I was sitting up there. I've been invited to go do Guy Fieri's show on Food Network. And, here's the thing about free agency. I kind of like the free agency before the free agency. I try and get the biggest stories as far as, Flacco and Alex Smith and the Percy Harvin trade, things like that, and obviously Tony. And then all the other stuff, there wasn't, the blockbusters kind of names yesterday besides, I guess maybe Mike Wallace. I don't know. There just wasn't that big. So I kind of had to weigh my options here. I could day drink, or I can just have just go absolutely insane and report on every little thing that's going on. Me, I enjoy my life, and I like to have the big bombs and then go about my business.
Tell me about the phone call from Tony Gonzalez. You see it coming up? Caller ID. What are you thinking?
It was. Let me think. He called the day before, and then he called at about 2 a.m., then 3 a.m., then 4 a.m., which is part of the reason. I was exhausted yesterday. So, I kept wanting to go, well, don't go with it yet. It's just, we kept talking about it. And hold off on it right now. It's, well, look, dude, it's 3 in the morning. I'm not putting out anything right now. Don't worry about it. And then, as we kind of went on, I said, look, because normally I don't write anymore. Now I just kind of tweet out and put out a little hit on FoxSports.com. But this was different. This was, Tony Gonzalez, the greatest who's ever played his position. And I felt it was a lot more than just a tweet or a pop on FoxSports.com. I wanted to put his quotes out because there's a lot surrounding. Because I'm telling you right now, Dan, there was absolutely no doubt whatsoever all the way up until the final play of the NFC Championship game that man was retiring. There was zero doubt. He had already promised his kid a bunch of stuff. His son, Nico, who, you got to remember, he's been out. Nico lives out here in California. Tony has been in Kansas City and Atlanta. He's promised him a bunch of things, and it was, there was no doubt. But that night, Strahan and I got out to dinner with him after the game. And it was the first time Mike and I looked at each other and said, you know what? It's the first time the doors open. Had the game been ended any differently, then he would be retired right now. But I don't think I think he's just not able to walk away. And mind you, he's come back for the same money. He made 6-9 last year. He's making about the same thing this year. This is not like a money ploy or anything like that. He's just like, man, we're a play away. I don't think I could do it. And he also had broadcasting opportunities that he had to call them and say, I hope you hold on for a year for me.
Well, I'd heard NFL Network because he wanted to be on the West Coast. There's only so many jobs out there. What job?
There's a bunch of jobs. There's a few of them. I don't cover Tony Gonzalez, the broadcaster, so I don't want to come steal his thunder here. But he had a few of them out there. I knew he had 3 of them that were out there.
Well, I know that there was no shortage of jobs, but it was about location for him. So you're not. NBC is on the East Coast. The mothership is on the East Coast. You all right there?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling a little under the weather today. I apologize. But look, some of those jobs, as you know, you kind of fly in for the day and fly back out, or for the weekend and fly back out. We have the Fox. I think only Kurt and I live out here because Strahan's now back in the East Coast. CBS, I don't think anybody. Boomer lives out there, and that's about it, right? So you know how that is. You just fly in, fly out.
Talking to Jay Glazer, FoxSports.com. What to expect today? Some other names out there with, what captures your attention of something that you'll follow and try to break today?
Probably, look, guys like Urlacher will catch my attention. I mean, they're real big names. And I found the Urlacher thing fascinating because all these teams, I've talked to a bunch of teams, and every one of them that I talked to say, we didn't even do film because we just assumed he was going back to Chicago. And that's not a good assumption to have. That's not. They haven't made him an offer. And then the Bears looked at it too, saying everybody thinks he's coming back here, so we're just going to sit tight and he won't really have a market. And they did a good job of that. Kudos to the Bears. They did a good job. Everybody thinks it's just a foregone conclusion, but if you want a leader in that locker room, a guy who kind of stick a foot up your butt if things aren't going well. That's your guy.
Okay, but best guess here, though, Urlacher stays or goes?
Best guess? I don't think I have a guess yet. I really don't. Because there's not been an offer from the Bears, so I can't, I can't guess on you. I think he always would have wanted to retire a Bear. I think the situation is now, hey, let somebody step up and take his ability somewhere else. I think if, after all he's gone through, I think he was hoping that something would come, but it hasn't come.
Charles Woodson.
Obviously, team like San Francisco, but again, all these things are kind of together. You know what? It's interesting about this year's free agency is that you have a lot of these guys, these safeties. They all kind of cancel each other out. Pass rushers. Well, if you had another year, you'd say, "Oh my gosh, Dwight Freeney and John Abraham and O.C.U. Manure." You go, "Oh my gosh," you'd be all over it. But they're almost kind of canceling each other out because the teams that are talking to them, and same with the safeties, besides Deshaun Golston, the teams could just say, "Hey, look, you don't want to take this? That's okay. We'll just move on to the next guy."
How important?
There's corners. There's safeties. There's pass rushers. There's a lot of those guys out there.
How important is breaking the Darrelle Revis news of where he goes?
I'd love to. That's the one I'd obviously love to do. I don't know. I think Darrelle will probably break it, but it's who knows with that one. The last time that happened, I think three of us had it at the same time. I got to be honest with you. This stuff is, you know me. I'm not as into breaking it as I am to getting stuff right. So that's one of the other reasons I don't go hog wild with the start of free agency, because you have such a temptation to put out their stuff. There's a couple things yesterday to put stuff out and beat everybody else, and I'd rather day drink up there in Napa. I got to be honest with you, than go hog wild and tell you that Danilo went somewhere and get it wrong. I'd rather just have those big ones that I know the right accuracy is the most important thing on the planet to me.
Well, you have a smart approach here. Plus, your bosses aren't saying we're doing this on a daily basis and we got all these hours of programming like you have with the mothership there. You can pick and choose.
I will next year, though. We will next year when FS1 comes out. Next year, and we're going to have, obviously, it's going to be a daily platform, the same type of thing. So I'm sure next year I'll have to get a lot more involved in that.
Have you met Guy Fieri?
Have I met him?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean have I met him?
Well, I know you were up there. I didn't know if you were taking a cooking lesson from him yet.
Are you kidding me? I was giving him a cooking lesson. We're doing a little matzo ball soup, a little chopped herring. We were doing good. We were doing a whole kosher special yesterday.
I like Guy. I watch.
So do I. He's cool.
What is it?
I've done a couple things with him. He ended up. He did the Super Bowl with us at Fox a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then he and I just became friendly. And the great thing is, you go around to restaurants in we've been to a couple of restaurants in L.A., and they just bring you food. It's fantastic. You know me, man. If it's free, give me 3. I'm happy with it.
What's he do?
He's a fun dude.
Diners, dives, and drive-ins?
Yeah, I think we're doing a show called Guy's Big Bite. It's out of his house.
Oh, see, all right, this is what you need to do. Let Guy know when he comes back this way. I want to go with him. I want to go with him to one of these places.
So, he's a huge – I'll tell you the funny thing, too, is – he's also, I've broken the Steve Hutchinson retirement the other day, and he's friends with Hutch. So he called Hutch at first. Here's the anatomy of the scoop. He called Hutch when we're sitting there, right?
Yeah.
And Hutch doesn't answer. I said, how great would it be if I called and Hutch answered the phone now? And just to show he has no respect for you as a friend. So sure enough, I call, and Hutch answers on like the second call. We're like, how beautiful is this?
Wow.
You're not even debris, you're debris. And then Hutch said, well, Glazer, I always thought you were calling. He goes, Guy, I didn't take your call, and I took Glazer because I'm retired. And we're like, whoa, hey, we didn't raid on your little parader. And he goes, well, I guess you just called at the right time, Jay. Just you, by messing with me, called at the right time. So you can break that I'm retired. So it ended up turning out even better.
All right, well, tell Guy when he comes this way, I want to go out with him and go to dinner.
I'll jump in a little bit today. I'll jump in a little for you in free agents. But my approach, man. I enjoy my life too much. I'll have the big ones for you when they happen.
All right, buddy. Good to visit with you again.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Jay Glazer, FoxSports.com. Day drinking. Hate to interrupt that. He breaks a story. He didn't not even try to break a story. He breaks one.